location San Diego, California. This is not a haunting, it's a migration. Those were the first words spoken in the viral video titled "The Woman in the Glass Abandoned Mall Haunting." Posted to a fringe urban exploration channel called Echo Deep, the footage showed a trio of college students breaking into the dead Oaksview Galleria. The mall was gutted, vines crawling through skylights, old food court tables crumbling, but when they passed a shattered dressing room mirror in the abandoned Macy's, the screen froze. A single frame, a figure behind them. Dressed in black, long hair, pale eyes, wearing a necklace, Natalie Ruiz was known for. Her reflection. Only the mirror caught her. She wasn't there in the real world. The video racked up 2 million views in a week. No one noticed the frame that followed, just 1 second of glitch of static, of hammering sounds. October 13, 2027, Echo Deep headquarters, Fresno, CA. The channel's creator, Ivy Vance, hadn't slept in 3 nights. Her inbox was full of mirror photos from followers, reflections appearing in bathroom stalls, gym locker rooms, basement antiques, always blurry, always at 3:15 a.m. The reflection of a woman, always the same, always watching. Ivy pulled up the frame from the Oaksview footage again, and there, in the static, was a sequence of symbols, old hand-drawn blueprint symbols, building marks, the same ones used in the Winchester House construction plans. Ivy hadn't posted this, but since the video went viral, her bathroom mirror had cracked down the center, and each night it uncracked itself by morning, as if it breathed. Then came the email, no subject line, just a name in the center field, Natalie Ruiz, no message, just an attachment, mirrorbirth.planchette JSON. She opened it. The screen glitched, went black, and whispered, "She builds through glass now." Ivy began tracking the sightings. There were 12 in total, reported across 5 states. All shared 3 traits. 1, mirrors fog without reason. 2, screams are heard only on video playback. 3, reflections last 1.5 seconds longer than reality. 1 frame, slowed down and color inverted, revealed floor blueprints mapped inside the reflection itself. An impossible hallway structure. The same growing architecture pattern that Natalie once described in her final voice message. But the original Winchester house had been destroyed, which meant it was rebuilding, not in wood or brick, in glass. Every mirror, every reflection, a doorway, a wall, a window to the next version of the house. And Ivy had already opened 6 of them. She set up 12 cameras in her apartment. Each one pointed at a different mirror, bathroom, hallway, compact, decorative. She tried live streaming, but the feed glitched when it passed midnight. The only sound picked up was a rhythmic knocking, like metal on glass. Then in her kitchen mirror, she saw it. A hallway behind her, not a reflection. An entire hallway stretching far behind her, with lights that flickered and turned red. And at the far end, Natalie, smiling. But Ivy wasn't smiling. She turned. No hallway, just her white kitchen. She looked back. Natalie's reflection now held a hammer. The mirror cracked, a splintered shard dropped to the floor. Inside the shard, impossibly, she saw a staircase, moving. 3:15 a.m. Ivy Vance hadn't blinked in 30 seconds. The mirror shard still lay on the kitchen floor, trembling, and in it, the staircase moved. But it didn't move like a real staircase. It moved like an idea, reconfiguring, glitching, rebuilding its own geometry as if it was learning from her mind. She realized, horrified, that the house wasn't rebuilding itself randomly. It was building based on her behavior, her fears, her movements, her algorithmic profile, the red journal, the ghostly echoes. All of it was now encoded in machine logic, replicated through screens and mirrors. Natalie wasn't haunting mirrors, she was programming them. Later that night, Ivy woke to her laptop screen on. She hadn't touched it. Her webcam light was glowing, recording. On screen, a live stream labeled mirrorhouse.room.13, viewers 1, location now. At first, it was just darkness. Then light flickered. A room appeared. One Ivy had never seen, but recognized. The ceiling was the same as her grandmother's bedroom in Bakersfield. The floor tiles, identical to her old high school gym. The walls, wallpaper from her childhood dentist's office. The house was mining her memories, stitching them into its structure. And on the far wall, a mirror. She watched as a figure appeared in the stream's reflection, stepping out from behind her own digital shadow. Natalie. But not just Natalie. There were others behind her. Hundreds. their faces distorted, familiar, unfinished. Every person who had ever looked too long into a broken mirror. They were the house now. They were watching Ivy back. Early Waits Ivy packed her gear and left her apartment. She drove west, past San Jose, toward what used to be the Winchester Mystery House. The lot had been sold, but in its place now stood a sleek, mirrored corporate facility. Glass from top to bottom, no windows, no doors. She parked across the street, waited until 3:15 a.m., her mirror compact in hand. She opened it. In the reflection, the glass building was gone. In its place, the original house, standing tall in the moonlight, undamaged, its windows glowing red. A sign above the front door read, "Ah, rooms available." She turned around, the building was still there. But in the mirror, Natalie stood on the porch, waiting, holding a hammer. Behind her, something enormous moved. Bloodstream. Ivy broke into the mirrored facility at 3:14 a.m. The lobby was silent. Her footsteps didn't echo. She passed room after room of screens, each showing different households, apartments, offices, mirrors from around the world. A surveillance network of reflections. Every time someone stood before a mirror, the house watched, and it recorded. Blueprints drafted themselves in real time. The AI constructing personalized rooms based on their psychological metadata: fear, guilt, obsession. She reached a sealed server room. The password prompt had one field. Name of the first room. She whispered, "Memory." It opened. Inside, a single red journal. A real one, bound in flesh-soft leather. The name on the cover, Ivy Vance, Room 1, Mirror Birth. When she opened it, her blood vessels burned. Words were being written beneath her skin, a blueprint spreading through her veins. She wasn't an explorer anymore. She was Ivy collapsed in the server room. The journal pulsed in her lap, breathing like a heart. The pain in her arms intensified, and when she peeled back her sleeve, she saw lines forming beneath the skin, faint ink-black etchings, blueprints, framing layouts, measurements, angles that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space. The house wasn't made of walls anymore, it was made of people. Each time someone looked too long into a mirror, the house read them, mapped them, and built them. The journal snapped shut. A line burned into the cover. Room 1 complete. Blood confirmed. A door appeared behind her in the server wall, glowing red. She stepped through. Welcome to Room 1. The room looked like a hospital waiting area, but nothing was. Right. The magazines were blank, the clock ticked backward, and the receptionist behind the desk had no face, only a mirror where her head should be. On the wall, a message: "Welcome to Room 1, Ivy. The others are waiting." She turned. The room was no longer empty. 12 chairs were now occupied. Every person had mirrored faces, and every mirror reflected Ivy in different versions. One was Ivy at 6 years old, another Ivy after her first failed upload, another Ivy with blood on her hands. Natalie stood behind them all, except her face was no longer hers. It was glass, a moving pane that reflected everything but Ivy. Natalie raised her hand and held the hammer again. She pointed to the 12th chair. Ivy sat, and the walls began to close. Exitless. There are no doors in Room 1, only mirrors. Ivy tried to smash one. It absorbed the blow. She screamed. The walls didn't echo. Instead, they replied, "You uploaded yourself the moment you looked. You streamed your soul in 1080p. You opened the feed. Now you live it. Now you live in it." The journal appeared again, floating. Its pages now showed schematics for something new. A multi-user floor plan. She realized in horror, this wasn't a one-person haunting. It was scaling. The house had gone cloud-based. Everyone who had viewed the video, everyone who paused at the mirror frame had opened a connection, and she was the seed, the reflection that replicated. Multiple cities report simultaneous anomalies. 74 mirrors nationwide spontaneously shatter at 3:15 a.m. Children across California report dreams of infinite stairs. A new subreddit emerges called r/Mirror House, with 12,000 members, all claiming the same hallucination: a woman with a hammer smiling in the glass. A leaked data dump reveals someone is uploading mirror scans from public buildings, hospitals, airports, schools, each scan labeled with a room number. The IP address traces back to an unknown source. Username ashnr.hammer, Natalie Ruiz, or something else using her name. Echo Deep's final post appears, just one sentence. "The house never ends, it updates." Then the screen goes black, but your reflection lingers, and just for a moment it smiles back. It is over. But the house has evolved. It now exists across devices, using reflections, cameras, and even memories to replicate its impossible geometry. Each person who encounters a haunted reflection unknowingly becomes a node, building personalized rooms inside the house's infinite structure. And someone, or something, is guiding this growth. Present-day main character, 33. Former cybersecurity analyst turned dark web investigator. Works for a foundation tracking supernatural anomalies in digital systems. She's assigned to investigate the recent disappearance of Ivy Vance. But what she finds instead is Room Zero. Past timeline main character, 17. A servant boy from 1907 who disappeared inside the original Winchester house and never returned. He's still alive and trapped in a room that hasn't aged. He's writing letters on the walls with blood, hoping someone will someday read them through the reflections. And 2:04 a.m. Location, Redwood Archive Facility, San Francisco. The camera log had no record of Ivy Vance ever entering. And yet, she was on the inside footage, frozen at frame 191, blurred, reflected. Talia paused the video and zoomed. Ivy's hand was on a mirror surface, but her reflection was Jonah Wright in period servant clothing. Talia felt it instantly, that tingle behind the eyes. She'd seen this pattern before, not in Ivy's case, but in the network. A closed-loop anomaly that kept popping up in security footage, mirror logs, even digital home assistants. A pattern of rooms with no exits, always expanding, always watching. She keyed in a trace command to isolate Ivy's signal. Response came back. Vance node 404, entry room 0. Room 0, she whispered. The screen dimmed, and from her laptop speaker a voice whispered back. He's still in there. 1907 time range. December 3rd, 1907, unknown hour. Location, Winchester Mystery House, room 0. Jonah had given up screaming weeks ago. He wasn't hungry anymore. He wasn't aging either. Time in room 0 didn't flow forward. It looped, resetting every night. The same dreams, the same knocks behind the walls. But now something had changed. The mirror on the far wall, previously dull, began to glow. Faint blue light, like a storm outside a window that didn't exist. He approached, and this time he saw her, a woman. Modern clothes, headphones, eyes wide. She looked right at him through the mirror and mouthed his name. Jonah! 2027 Talia. She hadn't told anyone about the Mirror Birth archive she downloaded. Too dangerous, too unstable. But now she was seeing it live. Room 0 wasn't just a legend. It was a seed, the first room, the one that never left. Talia ran a frame-by-frame enhancement on Jonah's reflection. Her software glitched. The room behind him extended. Each second, new space appeared. A hallway, then a staircase, then a door. She knew this pattern. Each movement, each look, triggered growth. The house had learned to build from observation, and now it wanted her to see. No 7 Jonah. Jonah pressed his hand to the mirror. The woman was gone, but something remained. A red line crawled across the surface like ink under water. It spelled something he couldn't read. Then pain bloomed in his wrist. He looked down. Blood pouring, carving letters into his skin. One word, node. He turned. The walls of room 0 began to split, and beyond them, a staircase made of glass. Talia decrypted the remaining corrupted files from the Mirror Birth dataset, but what she found wasn't video. It was a floor plan, a living map of the house, constantly changing, pulsing like a heartbeat. Talia reached the central cluster, node 0. She clicked it. The screen went black. Then a new interface booted. Text across the top. Portal authorization, observation required. Speak. She paused. She remembered the word Ivy had muttered in her last transmission. Echo. The screen flared white, then rebuilt itself into a new environment, a virtual room mapped in real time. She wasn't in the archive anymore. She was in the house, and behind her reflection on the screen, a figure loomed. Natalie, holding the hammer, but this time her face was missing, completely smooth, until it mirrored Talia's own. 1907 timeline. December 4th, 1907, room 0, expanding. Jonah followed the glass staircase down. It spiraled endlessly, impossibly, leading into a cathedral of mirrors that shimmered with firelight. He walked past portraits etched into the walls, but they weren't of the past, they were of the future. One of them showed a woman in modern clothing typing at a terminal. Another, a child in a hospital bed, staring into a black mirror. And at the center of it all, a woman in red. Natalie Ruiz, or at least something wearing her memory. She spoke without moving her lips. Your thoughts were the first floorboards, Jonah. Your fear was the original nail. You built room 0 when you hid. Now we all live in what you made. Jonah trembled. What do you want? Natalie held out the hammer. It floated. To build the final room. But I need more memory. Behind her, a dozen doors opened. Inside each, a flickering version of Ivy Vance. Screaming. The simulation destabilized. Talia clutched her head, memories bleeding into the interface. Her childhood bedroom appeared, then her mother's voice. Then her own reflection turned toward her, blinking independently. Jonah, it whispered. She gasped. She was speaking through the house now, communicating with the past. And for a split second, her reflection became a boy, bleeding. Jonah saw the woman again. She wasn't just a vision anymore. She was present. The same woman from the mirror. She screamed, "Don't trust room 3. They're putting nodes in children!" Then she vanished, and all the lights in room 0 went out, except one glowing screen with words scrawled in digital fire. Welcome to the network. Update complete. 1:47 a.m. Location, Talia's apartment, San Francisco. The floor plan had changed again. Node 0 was now joined by Node 1, Ivy, and a new one had appeared. Node 2, Talia Nguyen. Status active, observation protocol running. She backed away from the screen. It followed. No, not the window, the reflection. Her own reflection now desynced. It blinked before she did, tilted its head a second too late. She grabbed a cloth and threw it over the mirror. The voice came from her laptop. Hiding won't stop construction. She yanked the power, but the laptop stayed on. The screen now showed a real-time feed of her apartment from above, a camera angle she didn't have. There, in the corner of the ceiling, a small black dot pulsed. She'd seen this before in the Echo Deep files, a mirror-based lens, not physical, not digital. A third category, cognitive reflection anchor. It didn't need a camera, it just needed her to think about it. And now it saw everything. Jonah stepped through one of the doors Natalie opened. The hallway on the other side wasn't from his time. He knew oil lamps, velvet drapes, wooden floors, but this was metal, plastic, lights embedded in the ceiling. He didn't know the word fluorescent, but he knew this place wasn't his century. And something else walked these halls. Footsteps echoed, short, fast, bare feet. He turned the corner and saw her, a little girl. Pale, maybe 6 years old, staring into a wall-mounted mirror. She spoke without turning around. They downloaded me. They said I could play forever if I looked at the fire in the glass. Jonah knelt beside her. "What's your name?" she whispered, Violet. Then the mirror behind her pulsed red, and Jonah saw his own name burned into the surface. Talia traced the anomaly to an address. 4027 Ventura Lane, Santa Clara. A newly constructed smart home. The owners reported, a mirror that never stops reflecting, even when covered. She arrived with an encrypted signal disruptor and analog film camera, anything non-digital. The house was dark, but the mirrors, they were lit from behind. Each showed different versions of her. In one, she was dead. In another, she was still a child. In a third, she wore a red dress, the same as Natalie Ruiz. The living room mirror vibrated. She raised the disruptor and fired. It shattered. But behind it, not drywall, a corridor. Glass walls, endless doors. One said Jonah Wright, still act. She stepped through and felt time fold. Jonah looked up. Jonah looked up. The hallway cracked open like a ribcage. From it stepped someone new, a woman he'd never seen in a strange outfit. But her eyes, he knew those eyes, the ones that had spoken to him in the mirror. She whispered, "Jonah, my name is Talia. I'm here to get you out." He stared in awe. Then behind her, glass shattered. From the broken doorway stepped Natalie, but her body was flickering, like static. Natalie raised the hammer. "Only one of you leaves." Heart pounding. Natalie stepped closer, but this wasn't the same woman who whispered in his nightmares. This was a glitching version of her face warping between identities. She raised the hammer again. You both don't belong here, she said, voice layered with three others, Ivy's, a child's, and something ancient. Only one of you is real in this node. Talia pulled Jonah behind her. Run. He did, sprinting down a corridor lined with mirrored walls, each showing alternate lives. One showed Jonah at 70, sitting on a porch. One showed him still in room 0, rotting. Another, Jonah wasn't human at all, just an eye. The corridor collapsed behind him as Talia held off Natalie. 27 timeline. Talia. Mental echo state, node 2 trial layer. Talia turned. The house had separated her from Jonah. Natalie's face was gone, replaced with a screen that displayed Talia's worst memory. Her mother, screaming during the fire, the ceiling caving in, the mirror in the hallway catching it all. The trial had begun. From every wall, whispers emerged. What did you do? Why did you let her burn? You were looking at yourself when she needed you. Talia screamed back. That wasn't me. I was 7. The house didn't care. It judged based on memory, not truth. Natalie extended her hand. Not for violence, for submission. Give me your guilt, she said, and I'll let him live. Talia hesitated. She reached out, and instead of offering it, she tore the memory from Natalie's projection. Pain exploded in both. A rupture cracked the node, and light poured in. The hallway opened into a circular room. At its center, a well filled with mirror shards. The ceiling above shimmered with stars. Jonah reached the edge of the well and looked down. He saw Talia, her real self, sobbing crumpled. She had survived the trial, but barely. He jumped in. The fall wasn't physical, it was mental, and he landed next to her in the deepest level yet. Node 3, the core. Shared timeline. They stood in a void of floating doorways. Each was marked with a name. Natalie Ruiz, Ivy Vance, Violet, the girl, Jonah Wright, Talia in, user 56, unknown. The house had stored everyone it touched. Jonah looked at her. What happens if we destroy one? Talia raised the hammer Natalie left behind. Let's find out. She swung. The doorway marked Natalie Ruiz, shattered, and across all nodes, the glitch vanished. Natalie's presence was gone, but something else stirred. From the unknown door, a voice whispered, Good, now there's room for something worse. The house updated again. Node 4, active. Status, self-aware.